Picture this. This is John. John works hard. Every month, taxes bite a huge chunk out of his paycheck before he even sees it. He pays income tax, sales tax, maybe even property tax. It feels endless. Then there's Sarah. She's not exactly a billionaire, but she owns a few businesses. Sarah invests in real estate and spends her mornings drinking coffee while her money works for her. Somehow, when tax season comes, Sarah pays less tax, not in total, but as a percentage of what she earns. In other words, the richer she gets, the smaller her tax bite becomes. Sounds unfair, right? Well, it's actually how the system was built to work. See, John earns what's called active income. He trades his time for money. The government taxes that heavily because it's the easiest to track. Every paycheck John gets, the government automatically takes a cut. But Sarah earns passive income. Her money comes from owning things like stocks, property, businesses, and those are taxed differently. The system rewards ownership because ownership fuels the economy. When Sarah invests in a company, creates jobs, or builds property, the government sees her as a value creator. So while John gets taxed before he even spends a dime, Sarah can legally delay or reduce her taxes because her wealth comes from growth, not just hard work. Let's say Sarah invests $1 million in a company. A year later, that investment grows to $2 million. She's just made $1 million, but here's the trick. She doesn't pay taxes until she sells. And even then, it's called a capital gains tax, which is usually lower than the tax John pays on his salary. Some billionaires take it even further. They never sell. They borrow money using their assets as collateral, live off the loans, and avoid paying income tax altogether. It sounds shady, but it's completely legal. Meanwhile, John's bank account gets smaller every payday, while Sarah's wealth quietly compounds untouched by most of the taxes that drain his. Now, here's where things get really interesting and slightly ridiculous. While John's taxes are automatically deducted, Sarah has options. She can deduct her business expenses like her laptop, her car, even part of her house if she works from home. John can't do that. If he drives to work, buys work clothes, or eats lunch during his shift, those are just personal expenses. But for Sarah, almost everything can be written off as a cost of doing business. Even billionaires use this trick. Private jets become business travel, and expensive dinners become client meetings. The richer you get, the more things you can legally classify as not really spending. But here's the real secret. Billionaires don't get rich from salaries, they get rich from assets. They own companies, stocks, or real estate that grow in value. So while John pays tax every month, billionaires only pay when they sell something, and most of them simply don't. Instead, they borrow against their wealth. Let's say a billionaire owns $100 billion in Tesla stock. They could sell and pay billions in tax, or they could just take a $10 billion loan against it, pay a tiny interest rate, and use that money to buy yachts, houses, or more investments. Loans aren't taxable, so technically, they're just borrowing their lifestyle and dying rich without ever cashing out. So if it's so unfair, why doesn't the government just change it? Because the people who benefit most from the system are usually the ones who influence it. Wealthy individuals fund political campaigns, hire smart accountants, and shape tax laws that protect their interests. And to be fair, governments also rely on the wealthy to keep the economy running, to invest, build companies, and create jobs. It's a delicate balance. Tax the rich too much, and they move their money elsewhere. Tax them too little, and inequality keeps growing. So the system quietly continues with John paying his share, while Sarah and the billionaires play by a different set of rules. In the end, it's not that billionaires are breaking the law, they're just playing it better. The system rewards ownership over labor, and that's the real lesson here. John works in the system, Sarah works around it, and the billionaires, they help design it. Until tax laws value hard work as much as they value investments, this gap will keep growing. So the next time someone says, the rich don't pay taxes, it's not always because they're cheating, it's because the system was never built for people like John. It was built by people like Sarah, who learned one thing early. The real power isn't in earning money, it's in owning things that make money for you.